But then as I kept going through the journey with my art and I was dedicated to it, there's a struggle with that too, because you're depending on, the jobs that come in, having to keep hustling to still keeping them come in. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you have a lot of security for a while. And there were those moments where I was like, God, I think maybe you're telling me I'm done,
Yeah.
And with this. And then as soon as I thought maybe I was, boom, it kept coming back. And so, every time I was ready to give up, God said, no, you're not giving up, and then pretty soon I just embraced, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
We're flying high, yeah, beyond the stars. Next level thinkers, here we are.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Next Level Thinkers, a charting new horizons of brilliance podcast. Before I invite someone to sit in this chair, I spend a lot of time trying to understand why their story won't let go of me. With Katie, it happened almost immediately. I kept coming back to this image of a little girl sitting in church while her father preached. She had a pencil in one hand, filling pages with drawings. Most people would have assumed that she wasn't paying attention. Katie says the opposite. She says drawing was how she listened. And of course, I couldn't stop thinking about that, because if that's true, then maybe everything she's become started right there. Maybe that's why she has the ability to see something in other people that most of us might miss. Maybe that's why families entrusted her with the memory of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. Maybe that's why she's willing to paint people whose names already carry admiration, criticism, faith, and conviction before the first brushstroke is ever made. The more I learned about Katie, the more I realized the paintings were only part of the story. I wanted to understand the person behind the paintbrush. What shaped the way she sees people, and what allows her to capture something that most of us might miss. Guys, welcome to Next Level Thinkers, a charting new horizons of brilliance podcast, and this is my conversation with Art by KVK, Katie Von Kral. Katie,
Hi.
It's a pleasure to have you on Next Level Thinkers, a charting new horizons of brilliance podcast. I know you just flew. When did you get in today?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yesterday evening.
Cool. I've been following your work, and of course, we're affiliated, with Air Power Foundation, and amazing work that Air Power Foundation does, and it's great to see. I see you in action. I've seen you in action multiple times, and I was like, who is that girl? She's like locking in, and she's getting ready to rock and roll with her art. And let me ask you, as I was reading the cold opening, what thoughts or feelings went through your mind?
Oh, one thing that stood out to me was something that you recognized, actually, that I don't know that I've even ever recognized. Because you were sitting there saying how, putting the pencil to paper while I'm listening, and all of that is true. It did help me for different reasons that I could explain. But how you said something about maybe that's why I was able to see things, and I've never even put that together. That could have been the start of it, to be honest, because I was like a child, 5 years old.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that could be true, that's what started,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one thing that went through my mind as you were reading the cold opening.
That's a very penetrating thought, that you were 5 years old and you were drawing at 5 years old, and it was your way of listening to your father preach. Take us back to Sunday mornings. What does that look like in the Von Kral household?
Yeah. Well, so as a PK, we were at church a lot. So, I think as a kid, you're not always engaged.
Yeah.
And you go because this is what we do and everything. But when I would be in the sermons, hearing my dad preach for, the 1,000th or whatever time, I found, I was always kind of fidgety, wanting to do something, and not having any training or anything intentional as to being an artist. I would just draw, and what I noticed and even to this day, I am able to download more information
Wow.
if I'm because the drawing is secondary for me. Like I don't have to think about it. You know what I mean? So I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
And then the listening, there's some kind of pathway that opens up for me to be able to actually hear what's being said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of it, I was thinking about that as you were saying. I was like, how much of that is that like, I know you were young, so maybe it may not apply so much, but like, how much of that was like emotion driven? Like your father's up there giving a sermon and is very, spiritual and emotional. How could you attribute some of that, like that was expressing your emotion in that particular moment, you think?
Being so young, I think it was more about being, it was like technically I like to make a good piece. I like to, be doing something.
Yeah.
So at that young of an age, I don't know that I could say that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think if we went deep enough, we could find something.
Yeah.
But if I'm being really honest about that young, I don't think I thought that deep quite yet.
Next time I'll get a couch here. Next time we'll be.
Yeah.
I was like tapping into this.
Wow, let's be good.
Imagine I'll give you a piece of paper and say, imagine you're a child
Right.
in the cues right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back, who was the artist that first saw something in you that you hadn't seen in yourself?
So there was probably 3 artists in my life who have come into my life and kind of, I don't want to say changed the course, probably elevated to something else. But the very first one, I was in high school. I was actually very academic, but I would take the art classes because that is what I enjoyed. And at the time, my mom and my stepfather had hired an artist, a muralist, to come in and do murals in our house. And I would come home from school with my art projects and just, I would show her my projects and I would sit and just talk to her for hours while she was painting and drawing and stuff. And I was just mesmerized. And, at the time, she was like 7 years older than me. And so that's a big gap when you're that young. What's funny is to this day, we're actually best friends. But at the time, I was like, I just looked up to her. But she would tell me, you're really talented. And she would see my work. And what it led to was by the time I was a senior in high school, she was actually hiring me to assist her on her work. But anyway, having recognized that, she was the one that really encouraged me as I was figuring out where am I going to go to college? What do I really want to do here? And I actually even had an academic scholarship. And she was like, I really think you've got something here and you could pursue this, I don't know if everyone in my family thought it was the best idea, but then I tried to make a calculated decision of going into graphic design first because maybe that would pay off a little more.
Yeah.
But first year of college, I was like, yeah, no computers, please. I mean, later I embraced it, but at the time, so I just switched to fine art, drawing and painting versus graphic design. But she was the one who initially encouraged me and saw that, and which is very interesting because now I would never see myself as anything but. It was like she actually saw, because I don't even think it's like, oh, you have talent. Some people just have talent, but is it who they are? And what I know now is like, no, that is who I am. It is who I was. And so, yeah, she saw it, that's my first experience.
So give a shout out to who? What's her name?
So Tina Giannatasio was her maiden name at the time, but it's Tina Dia now.
Dia. Shout out to Tina Dia, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, she has been very, very special in my life on many levels, but it started there.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Somebody to recognize something like that, to recognize your talent, and then that became the essence. That was you speaking your truth in that moment. You were trying to gravitate to some other things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take some, what was graphic design like for you? I mean, it's too linear. Is that, or?
No, I actually like the design part.
Yeah.
I had already been doing the murals and getting to, kind of paint. I call it freely.
Yeah.
I was doing custom work, but I just felt confined doing it on a computer. I wanted the texture. I wanted the the thickness of the paint, and I don't know, there was just something about it that it felt flat.
Yeah.
Because it probably was, but the computer's great.
Yeah.
But I don't hate. I actually use it sometimes now.
Yeah.
I mean, with AI, it's we don't need it as much now.
Yeah.
But for graphics, but no, it just felt confining. And that's another reason why I know I'm an artist. Confinement, conforming, and those are all a little difficult.
I love it. We're cut from the same cloth, apparently.
Yeah.
No, I did some artistic wall finishing a time or two. I was hired to work in to help somebody do that, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And so we're going to learn how to do this. Wall finish, artistic wall finishing. It was pretty cool when I did that. I was always impressed that artists that could make a home look, aged and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
At what point did creating art become part of who you were instead of simply something you did? Like you say, okay, now this is it. This is the moment.
Yeah. I think there were different steps in life that kind of showed me those things. I had gone to school for the fine arts, ultimately, but even through that and getting paid to do jobs all through college, I had my mind set on doing makeup for film and TV. And so as soon as I got done and graduated with my fine arts degree, I went to LA and went to makeup school for film. And so I did special effects and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
So I was in California doing that, kind of up and down the coast. And I don't know if you know about the condition that I've suffered with, which is endometriosis.
Yes. Yeah.
And I started having issues with that at 19. I mean, true, I probably had them earlier, but 19 is when they hit really, in a...
And for people that don't know that, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Yeah.
If people don't know what that is, can you explain a little bit about that?
Endometriosis is, the condition is usually defined as where the lining of your uterus grows outside of it and can even grow into other areas of your body. I think it's actually a condition that people are very misinformed about. I don't think that they know enough. I mean, they know a lot more than they used to because it... most people think it only affects your lower pelvic area of your body, but it can go, into your intestines, your lungs, your diaphragm, and they've even found it in the brain before. So anyway, with that being said, it's a condition that causes a lot of pain. It can cause a lot of other ailments and things that happen. Generally, it's a female condition. Generally, 99.9% of the time, it's a female condition. Yeah. But there's different stages that you could have, a stage 1 to stage 5. I had stage 5. I also had it. I still have it in my lungs and diaphragm. But every woman, because you can have it in different stages, they probably suffer with it a little bit differently. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry I didn't interrupt your thought on what you were talking about, your journey in California and how that was causing you issues.
Yeah, coming back to that, so having the endo, we call it endo, having the endo, it did create some derailments, with what I was doing.
Yeah.
It eventually was pulling me back to Arizona because we didn't know what I had. I had several different times where that would happen because I was in the emergency rooms and different things, and it just took so long to figure out what I was dealing with. And with that being said, I also kept getting calls to continue my art. And because my condition didn't allow me to function every day the way you would with a job where you have to be there functioning every day or on a film set. You can't tell the director I mean, I pretty much knew when I would get sick because it was timed with your month.
Yeah.
And so you can't say, yeah, I really want to be on that job, but just so you know, a week or two out of every month, I'm probably not going to be that great. That's not a good way to get hired, but it's the truth,
Yeah.
So anyway, as I kept getting the art jobs, and it started showing me that this is more conducive to my lifestyle that right now I can't change because we could not figure out what was wrong.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what was wrong. We didn't know how to treat it. Actually, you said something earlier. You can't know where you're going if you don't want. And that was, I mean, I lived that way for so long with this condition, not knowing.
Yeah.
So the art, it kept pulling me back, to doing the art because it worked. But then as I kept going through the journey with my art and I was dedicated to it, there's a struggle with that too, because you're depending on, the jobs that come in, having to keep hustling to still keeping them come in. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you have a lot of security for a while. And there were those moments where I was like, God, I think maybe you're telling me I'm done,
Yeah.
And with this. And then as soon as I thought maybe I was, boom, it kept coming back. And so, every time I was ready to give up, God said, no, you're not giving up, and then pretty soon I just embraced, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I had another mentor artist that I'd mentioned. There were 3.
Yeah.
And, he is Frederick J. Brown. He's passed now, but I spent a lot of time with him being mentored. He worked with Willem de Kooning, who worked with Picasso. So it's kind of cool. But he would tell me, Katie, if you have a fallback, you will fall back on it. And so there were just these cool little messages that I got throughout my, journey and with these other artists where it made me realize, why do I keep giving myself this out or this like spot where, and then I was like, no, okay, here we go. Like, this is what we're doing here. I mean, and of course, I don't think if it wasn't what I was supposed to do, God wouldn't bless it. He wouldn't be continuing it.
Yeah.
So it's all those things that really made it come together of knowing, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. That was the beginning of knowing.
Yeah.
Because I feel that even evolved, right?
Yeah.
Within that. But
yeah,
that's my answer.
That's
Lock it in.
Yeah. Do we need a phone of friend? That's good. No, that's so cool. I mean, that is, you have these limited, we talked about how, before we got on the podcast, I told you I didn't want to have anything to do with veteran stuff. And now I host a veteran advocacy podcast. And it's so unique that you want to, what do you say, self-sabotage? Do you think some of that was like self-sabotage maybe in some way? Could you see it that way, or did you were just trying to, trying to really like say, like you say, hey, I got a mental block that maybe this is a mental spiritual block that I need to get out of.
Yeah. I mean, the more I learn about the brain and how it works, it could have been slightly self-sabotage just by the way I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing. Once you know how to think, then you know how to be.
Yeah.
And so maybe I was too young, or maybe hadn't, the more that I grow spiritually, I think that would have changed things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But working with what I knew, I think it could have been that. I got to tell you, the being sick and all that, there's just things that, when you're constantly being taken down, and then you're like, you have to work against it every single time. And I'm doing this every month of my life, and no resolution, nothing. That's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to, when, I don't know, better way to explain it, when you've got chains on you and then someone clips one off and so then you go, oh, and then they're back again.
Yeah.
It's hard, so it took I'm a lot better than I was now, so that's part of why it's changed a little in that way. But
Yeah.
so self-sabotage or outside things that I couldn't control.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
maybe both.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of sense, just having internal battles and actual, literally physically internal battles. That'll debilitate somebody and derail your some people's dreams sometimes. And the fact that that didn't happen because God ordained that, hey, this is where I want you to be.
The physical battle will affect the mental battle.
Yeah,
And so I think like that was hard. But I good or bad, I think I was born with a pretty strong will. So even when it was difficult and painful, for some reason, God still gave me that spot that was like, no, I'm gonna get through it. So
it's interesting you say that because like when I first saw you, like I saw you I think it was at the Patriot last year.
Oh, yeah.
It was my first time with Air Power, and I said, you could tell that you had this determined energy around you.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. We didn't even talk or anything like that. I just saw you from a distance. That girl's got a mission.
Oh, really? That's so funny. Like when I'm painting?
Or before that, you were setting up, you were getting everything prepared and just getting organized. And I was like, that girl's on a mission. I could see that a mile away.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm very systematic. It's like, no, gotta get this done. What time is it? Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. Help me understand some. When someone sits down in front of you, and it could be a subject, not the actual person, but when you actually have a person or people that you're gonna paint, before a single brush stroke is made, what begins happening inside of you?
So, before I work to get in that space, I need to eliminate distractions. And so for me, and this will all tie in to the answer, but I need everything to be put away in its space. I need, a certain level of, there's certain distractions that I can work with, kind of like the sermon while I'm working.
Yeah.
But if different things are coming at me that won't allow me to focus on it, then it's pretty much impossible. Like I gotta have the right space, to be there. But I would honestly say, going into that moment, the way that I get there is to really empty out what's going on in my head versus what is going through it. It's almost like no, we want nothing, just to like let the canvas come alive. Let me focus on what I see and what color needs to go here to balance out this, over here, or maybe it's a technical thing or whatever. But it's if I had other things going on in my head, I think it wouldn't allow me to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I also choose what goes on. Like sometimes I like it quiet. Sometimes I put on a sermon, actually.
Oh, really?
Music every once in a while, but I actually tend to like talking more while I'm working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it is at those times where I still get to download the messages in my head.
I like that tabula rasa kind of mindset where it's the blank tablet you want to start from, you want to empty it out, and that way you can get free from distraction. And maybe that's also what I saw in you. It's on a mission. It's kind of the same thing. It's like saying this girl, you could tell she's dialed in, trying to get focused.
Yeah.
As somebody who curates podcasts too, I see that. That's something I have to do too.
Yeah, like you're gonna have everything all ready to go, so when I come in, that we're ready, right?
Yeah.
You can focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
So that's like getting set up, get the stage done, get all that. And once I know we're good, then I can do my job well.
Yeah.
But if I'm worried about how that didn't get taped down right or this, I won't do my job well. So,
I was scheduled that day, or last year, I was scheduled to get some sound bites, and I said, I ain't going up to her.
oh, really?
I said, well, no, we were just because I really meant like, it was like, I was scheduled, I was going to go up to you and ask you for a sound bite, but I was like, No, that girl's too dedicated, but here we are. So we got it.
Yeah, we did. We did it. Yeah. You can always come up. I probably just like gotta
No,
stay.
yeah, I'm not. No, it's just a matter. I think the part is like, I say God's time is always perfect, and here we are in my studio. We're
Yeah.
doing a podcast together, so I'm glad I waited.
Yeah, that's true.
That is awesome. Was there ever a season when you prayed to God to make you different, only to realize He had already woven into your calling?
I don't think I've ever prayed for God to make me different.
Mm.
Unless it's like a character issue or something,
Yeah.
improvement like that. But as far as like who I am as an artist or who He made me to be, I think I've always embraced that, we are uniquely made, we are specially made, we're valuable. And however God was leading me in that direction, like I was okay with. I think younger, not quite as submitted to Christ as I should have been. I probably derailed that a few times. But I don't know that I ever, I don't think I prayed to be different. Maybe just improved, but not different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
Yeah.
understand that. I was wondering because, you go up against, like you said, your parents were like, I don't know if that was a good idea for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as they look at your career now, like, how do they respond to where you've taken this?
Yeah, I think they're proud of me. And I guess I should answer that question a little better. The only times I thought maybe I'd want it different is like if it was causing a struggle financially. Then it was like, I had an academic scholarship. Maybe I should have been a doctor, or whatever. But still, that never, again, every time I maybe even thought I was done, it always brought me back. So just continue to embrace it. But back to your question on that, no, I think that my parents, well, they probably recognized I was strong-willed too. But I think I did hear my dad say to me in the past few years something about, I'm really proud of you, how you've really followed your art and how you've really made something of it. And I know he was meaning that in the best way. But there was a part of me that thought, so you were doubting me sometimes? The outcome is that we're good and they're proud of me. I know my mom is too, so.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are their names?
So my dad, my biological parents, my dad's name is Kurt Kral.
Okay.
And then my mom is Lael Krauser.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was young, there was a divorce very, very young and whatnot. So they're remarried now.
Yeah.
But
well, shout out to Kurt Kral and what was your
Lael.
and Lael for having such an amazing daughter and being able to inspire people with her art and God's gift to her, and it's beautiful. I've always been, one of the things is when I saw you in action, right, I was really fascinated by speed painting because every decision becomes public, right? Like, and that's insane for me to think of that. Holy, like thinking about that. While everyone else is watching the painting appear, what are you paying attention to?
Oh, I think I'm most focused on, when I'm on stage and they're the speed paintings, it's a timed situation. So sometimes I'm doing a fast 10-minute to music, which I don't know if you've probably not seen that yet because all the events we've done here, I've done like longer paintings, like 2 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Either way though, I know I'm in a time crunch. So I'm definitely concentrating on making sure I'm pacing myself correctly to get it done. Making sure it looks the way that I want it to look. But also, I'm always concerned about the ultimate outcome of making sure it pays off for the event I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
They're having me come out, hire me to do this for them, and just making sure that it. Because ultimately, with the work I do now, I always want it to be uplifting and effectual, in some way that impacts. So if it's Sometimes it can just be what I paint, but sometimes it's what it brings to a situation, like they raise a bunch of money from it.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm getting to help, right? So I mean, there's all those things that I'm concerned about, in that moment. I practice the pieces beforehand a lot of the times, and so it becomes second nature by the time I'm up there.
Yeah.
At least that's the goal.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I never thought about that. You're like, you have to, when you're doing that kind of work, you got to practice, like you got to prepare to present something, it's not something you take lightly. You got to work on your craft outside of this. That's it. That's very cool, man. I didn't think about that, but that's just like practice, it's just super necessary for you to become that expert level. When something unexpected happens during a performance, what usually takes over first? Preparation, instinct, faith, or experience?
So I know it's kind of generic, but I would say all of those things happen.
Okay.
I haven't had too many moments where anything was unexpected to the point that it wasn't salvaged.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like anything in life, those things kick in. Your instincts kick in. Of course, it's going to be better if you have experience. Faith is at the core of everything.
Yeah.
So no matter what, and I always just believe, same with like a painting, to me, you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
You can fix it. It's paint. And maybe the timing's different than you planned. Maybe it's not exactly the way it was supposed to look, but sometimes those are the best pieces. So to me, it's also kind of life. You embrace it, you work with it, and then, well, look at this. It actually came out better. Something's better because of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I just got back came straight from an event in Colorado. I was painting with a Chicago tribute band, which was cool with the mountains behind and all that.
That's cool.
But the sound went out in the middle of the concert and I'm painting. So everything just stopped, and so I stopped too, covered the painting until we got it back up. It was only like 10 minutes or something. But what everyone said was it was kind of good for the whole event because it was like it broke the tension. Right? I don't know. With everyone, even you can feel it. After that, everyone was just, more relaxed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Things happen the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. There's a her season that plan and says, it's like, no, we need to give this a break. Let's play like this music album.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I think you're right. I like the metaphor you use too, because like you said, just like in life, that that all these instincts, the faith and the your experience and how you handle adversity in these particular moments and just in life in general. I think that was an excellent correlation with that. Has a painting ever surprised you?
In what way?
That's a good question. I ask the questions here.
I did not give you permission to do that.
No, I don't know. That's a high level question.
Okay.
I can't answer. No, I think it's like where it took your breath away. Like it shocked you. Like it's like it could be the response. It could be however lane you want to go down.
Okay,
whatever. Speak to whatever you think it is.
Yeah. Okay. So on a just a aesthetic level.
Yeah.
When I'm doing the stuff on stage, I don't get a minute to walk back and look at my piece, right? When we're doing murals and paintings as artists in our studio, we're going to get up probably, every few minutes or an hour, whatever, and we step back to look at our piece.
Yeah.
But when I'm on stage, I don't get that kind of time or whatever. So sometimes I will look back, or when I'm done, and I'm always like, maybe I have someone there, and I'll be like, does it look okay? Oh yeah, it looks great. It looks great. Like, you need to come see it from back here, And, because I'm so up close to it, and then I get back there, and then I'm like, oh, that does look good, even though.
Yeah.
So, there's those little surprises like that.
Yeah.
But, and kind of what I was saying before, there are paintings where maybe I'm frustrated with where it's going or whatever, and it's those moments of really having to dig in to get there, and then they end up being better.
Yeah.
So those are nice little surprises. And then I love the surprises where we do events and the paintings go for 15, 20 grand,
Yeah.
and all of that. Of course, I love those. Those are cool. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Those things that come to mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I always just, that's a good question. I think I was like, that's awesome. Your live performances have helped raise money. We're talking about that right now. Help raise significant support for charitable causes. Do you remember the moment you realized your gift could become a form of service?
So I would definitely say that really came more to light. I mean, I may have known it to a degree, but really came to light so then this is the third artist that influenced me. It's good. It's all coming through.
Yeah.
Randall Hedden. He's also a speed painter. He's a lot older than me, more seasoned in his work. He's excellent, very good artist. But when he brought me on to speed paint, like, because I always was doing the art, fine art and all that, but this was like maybe 12 plus years ago. So Randy, we call him, we had a mutual friend / client, and he was talking to him about, hey, I really want to add a female to my show. Like, so it's not just him on stage, and we do like a cool thing together on stage.
Yeah.
And my client friend said, well, I think I know the girl, that you should talk to. So I got us, hooked up talking with all of that stuff. And Randy's like, listen, I've asked other artists to do this. Some of them just say no right away because they're not comfortable, in that space, or they just simply don't want to learn something new, or they come for a while to learn and then they quit. And I'm like, well, I'm game, let's see what we can do here. And so we did go in the studio for a good 6 months, learning, practicing, making sure we're ready. I'm ready to be on stage. He was fine, doing some shows together. But when I got to go to the events he was already doing, and then the ones he brought me on, that was when I got to see how these paintings would go for X amount of dollars, and then towards whatever foundation or helping veterans or whatever it might be. And it was like, oh, this can really help, that was the first moment I saw it in that avenue.
Yeah.
As things have moved forward, now I concentrate I do work for, people where I get to commemorate, some event that happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tragic, sometimes it's not, but no matter what, it's bringing light to something that deserves that honor.
Yeah.
And so in both of those ways, I've gotten to see that develop.
Yeah.
But I think the most that stands out as far as the beginning moment for that was working with Randy and doing the speed painting for foundations and charitable work. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. As the three significant mentors and models of your have transcended your experience as a painter. That's like so cool.
Yeah.
And not everyone has those kind of people, where they have these three significant people who have actually helped them evolve, you break the doors wide open, I should say, right? Which brings us to the Granite Mountain Hotshots Memorial, because it's special. It's something special, right? You weren't just painting a mural. You were being entrusted with the memory of 19 men and the families who continue to live with that loss. When did you begin carrying that responsibility personally?
In particular with the Granite Mountain Hotshots?
Yes.
Okay. So that, covering that story and doing the mural for that came about because of the TV show I was hosting. I was like the host / artist, and I got to pick the stories and the people I would interview. And that particular episode, which still needs to be edited, we have the footage, but so in case people are wondering where it's at, that was the one that because there was so much to cover and bring light to, that was it's the grand finale episode. And let's see, you asked me when that came about. I'm trying to remember how we started the question.
When did you begin carrying that personally?
Yeah. And so when, and that was another one of those moments where it was like, well, I'm going to reach out and see if the families are open to, want to being interviewed. Because what I would do is I would collect the information, interview people, because I think the stories are important.
Yeah.
But then I would, with that information, produce the work that would be revealed at the end of the show to honor, these guys and the families and everything.
Yeah.
So getting that to even happen was a lot, and really a God thing.
Yeah.
Because all the things that had to come into place for that to happen, because it was, it was very well recognized. The reveal of the mural, we did it on the 10th anniversary of the death of the Hotshots, so it was on the news, all over Arizona and all of that stuff. So in carrying that weight, I brought it on as far as accepting that to do it, and I actually asked for it. But when I did, I'm not sure if I knew all the weight it would carry, and so going through it, I was extremely emotional, and I did feel the weight, just painting these guys. I did the majority of all the portraits in the mural, and there was something, and I had interviewed some of the parents, the wives, siblings of some of these guys, and just really making sure that you're honoring the families, you're honoring the man that was there, but also, why is this still good? How can we still see God in this situation? So every one of my episodes, that was important to me, is that we always brought it to a point where there could be some level of hope, some message, some level of comfort, but something that, really that God could bring, to the situation. But that was how that came about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really impactful, is to have some remembrance and always keep it a living entity in this world. Like you literally imprinted that in the world, they're not gone. They're going to be forever in a mural. So that's next level stuff, and no pun intended, but it is that's that higher level of God consciousness. I like to say is your responsibility to take that on and ask for it. Say God pushed you that way, said ask for this, and you had that emotional and mental, spiritual, psychological wisdom, and it's that's amazing.
Yeah, it was heavy. Because I interviewed even the fire chief and whoever was willing, really, to talk about it.
Yeah.
But it was tough. It was tough.
Wow.
Yeah. Just making sure you're honoring them correctly. The people who are still living that still love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a commission you chose not to accept because it conflicted with your convictions?
Not in any way that was very serious. I've had, probably males joke around about certain pieces that are maybe inappropriate or something, but I shut those down real quick, so we don't have an issue there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'm not really. I also think people know. I don't publicize exactly, at least I don't think I do. I'm not pushy with where I'm at. I just like to, hey, here's the experience, here's what I know. But you could tell if you see my social media, you see, you kind of, I think you can tell who I am.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I would say people that wouldn't want to, wouldn't approach me, they probably wouldn't anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we're good there.
Well, I say I don't want everybody to like me. I should think less of myself as some people do.
Yeah. I think if everyone likes you, actually, that might be, you might need to think like,
Yeah.
you're like,
No one doesn't like me.
yeah, right. Like,
Okay. Let's see here. This question. Let's turn to your Charlie Kirk painting. Because public figures often arrive carrying other people's opinions before they ever arrive as people. What convinced you this was a painting you needed to create?
So that's a good question. Interesting, because and I've said this several times, I'm very planned. And part of it is like that there's some ADHD here, so I have to be very systematic and managing my time and stuff, and I stick to it too. And so, I mean, years actually, Frederick Brown was the one who told me, you need a calendar, you got to do it, you're gonna have anxiety all over the place. And so because of that, I stayed pretty close to everything that I planned to do. When Charlie got murdered, there wasn't even a pause for me. I've never stopped everything I was doing ever to do a painting.
Yeah.
Ever. And I was just completely I'm doing a painting of Charlie. Like, and for me, it wasn't like getting on the bandwagon with other artists, or even, I had no idea how many people would even see it. To be honest,
Yeah.
I kind of just did it for me
Yeah.
in a way,
Yeah.
And I called, so one of the guys who did some of the camera work on the episodes, I know these guys charge a whole bunch of money, but I'm like, hey, this is Charlie. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I called him and I said, would you be interested in shooting this video of me painting Charlie? I want to have some kind of message with it. This has hurt a lot of us to our core.
Yeah.
But we need to be a part of what this is going to bring because of what happened, what Charlie, his legacy, not just his legacy, the message.
Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't political at all. It was faith. It was a direct attack on faith, because I don't believe Charlie was doing anything he was doing out of, wanting, and the agenda didn't come from selfish reasons. And to complete this agenda, it came from his calling to who he was as a man of God.
Yeah.
And when he got murdered, when people say we are Charlie, it's because when they killed Charlie for who he was, they killed us too.
Yeah.
And or they at least put a bullet in us and we felt it. So I had no pause. And we did the painting, we did it, put it out there, and it happened to circulate, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And led to some, big things that I painted for, which was cool. But I didn't actually, I have to say, I don't even know that I had to make the choice. It was just so automatic.
Yeah.
It really got me to my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. For me, doing the Charlie painting, that was my way of saying, how can I continue forward in any way what he was doing,
Yeah.
with what I have, my talents, and, how I can present something. And so even, when I did get approached to do any work with Charlie, I'm like, all I want is my costs covered. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not like that's the core of everything, right?
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
attacking your faith.
Yeah. That's got me emotional.
That motivated me from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's emotional to hear.
Yeah.
It's in what I think what got me emotional more is that was like a it was like there was no question about that you had that when you have that untamed faith, because that's what that is, right?
Yeah.
Like when I see that untamed faith, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you sharing the way you have shared this, how you went about it. So like you didn't even think you had it. You didn't even think about it. You just see something that just untamed, right? And that was overwhelming, powerful as you listening to your response. It's just like you go, whoa, that just like hit me because that's I think yeah, Charlie's life, a very important centerpiece of our society was lost in that, in his willingness to get in front of people and share, and educate people and talk about Christ and talk about change is possible, and all the things he talked about was, was out there in what was supposed to be a safe environment, and his life was murdered. He was murdered, but the fact that you took action right away, that's like beautiful. It's like awesome. And I was talking to our friend actually, he was telling me, we were talking about the Charlie Kirk painting and he said, yeah, I think he has it, right? Or something.
Kevin, yeah. He has one of them.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah. So he was just talking about how, how important that was for him to have one of them, and that he said it was just a real talking point that we talked about. Because I told him I was going to have you on the podcast. He's like, you are? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. And I think he's the one who introduced you to air power. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. He found me.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, Charlie's death was a pivotal moment in history.
Yeah.
It was a worldwide revival. I mean,
yeah.
And I just know for me personally, it was a major moment for me of just, it's like I've always thought that my faith was strong. But after that point, it was like, I don't know, something happened even for me where I was like, we should all be that convicted that we will do our job as followers of Christ and be willing to die for it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, the level of submission and the freedom.
Yeah.
And it was because of Charlie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of Charlie before he died. And I'm not saying his influence wasn't that strong before.
Yeah.
But when that happened, that changed things for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a book called The Barbarian Way, and it talks about untamed faith. It just talks about like how you should live life. Your faith should be barbarian. You should live life untamed, where you're not conditioned to respond. And I think Charlie represents that barbarian way, where he was out there, unafraid, knowing that there may possibly be a consequence that would take his life, and for you to have the tenacity, the conviction, like you standing your ground with him. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, there's that determined thing again.
Yeah. That's
It's funny you say that because I know even when I was little, like we're talking like 3. Like some really good family friends of ours that we've known since we were little. Yeah. The Manoviches, Mike and Mary. And Mary, I remember she would always say, I just remember when you were a little girl, you were just so determined. I'm like, I guess must be one of my characteristics because it's very consistent.
I wasn't going to interrupt you either. Just kidding. And see, when someone stands in front of that painting, right, Charlie Kirk's painting, what do you hope happens?
I mean, it's all going to relate back to what he said is like, I mean, first it's, honoring and recognizing the man, Charlie, but ultimately it's the message. It's the message of why he's not here anymore. It's the message of what you should be doing because of it. I mean, to me, it's that really. Yeah. Ultimately it should be what he always preached, or taught. Like it in the end, hopefully it brings glory to God in some way.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, the fact that we're speaking his name right now and in relationship to Christ is like already a W, and then this is going to go out to as many people as I can get it to. And yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Once a painting leaves your studio, people naturally bring their own stories to it, right? At what point do you have to let go of trying to control what it means to someone else? If that even is a
Yeah.
to do.
I think generally I'm always going to kind of sit back and let people, figure out what it means to them. If someone asks, because a lot of people do, and what were you thinking? What was your intention here with this piece? And so then I'm, of course, I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
But even at that, I still want it for them to figure out how it's relevant to them and what it means to them.
Yeah.
So I guess the only time maybe I would care is if it was being misinterpreted badly.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no, I want it to resonate with them.
Yeah.
So in what way does it resonate with them? And maybe I can add to it, for them if we can talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it does. I guess you're right. I mean, now you says, how does it resonate with you? That's awesome.
Like what do you see when you look at my Charlie painting?
Oh, I see conviction.
I'm asking questions.
Well, I'll answer that. I see a man can, as like I said, untamed faith about the standing his ground, as with Christ as a centerpiece, and knowing that his life would be covered no matter the outcome of the disagreements or the whatever was coming, and yeah. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, I love it. Yeah. I mean, so it is actually, I like hearing how does it, how does it, what do you see when you see this? Because sometimes people see things I don't see.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. Like kind of like you even said at the beginning with how things may have started, with me drawing during sermons.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. A couple more and we'll wrap up. Let's see here. Over the years, you've encountered remarkable people and extraordinary stories. What have those experiences taught you about being human?
So, because I've come across some really amazing people, I've come across people who have been through major adversity. There is one that really stands out to me. I mean, it's a lot of those interviews I did during the TV show.
Yeah.
But I did have Mark and Nikki. I don't know, Mark Fucaril and Nikki Browder. I don't know if you know who they are, but Mark was a victim of the Boston bombing. And both of them, for different reasons, do life without all of their limbs. Mark having gone through this major, incident, PTSD type things that you've gone through. And then he continues to do life, and he does it with still gratefulness. He does it still with, a message, inspiration. He does it with a smile on his face. He does it in pain. He does it, sometimes, and I think about the endo, the perseverance you have to have with these things. But for me, it would affect my attitude, at times, not as much anymore, 'cause it's not as bad. But when I got to sit down and be around these kind of people and knowing what they went through, what they still go through, and then how they're still doing life, I just remember sitting there going, like, I need to be so much more thankful.
Yeah.
And grateful. And there are times when I'm praying and I'm like, I'll thank God for just silly things, like, thank you for my fingers. Thank you for my eyes that can still see. Thank you for, because they don't even have their legs, or they don't have it. And they're they're out skiing. How do you ski without it? There's ways that they can do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, I'd be like, oh, well, life's over now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just, I don't know, being able to see it in a way where, how it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true too. Like this year, Kevin Fallon, he called me up and he said that Air Power had this event. It's called Adaptive Training Foundation. I don't know if you know who they are. They deal with people with limb loss, and
Okay.
and it was a a hyper training that he asked me if I wanted to attend. I would go and be part of the training. And I just had 2 hip replacements, so it was like I said I really needed to kind of get that next gear going, because it kind of shut me down a little bit. And so I went, and it was the first year that it was the first time I had ever been around with individuals with limb loss, to such an extreme level, and what they do is they do a complete workout. It's a whole like intense workout. It's like boot camp for real. Like they don't care if you're in a wheelchair. They don't care. They say we're gonna push this limit. We're gonna find a way to do it anyways. And
Right.
and they push that in it. And it was so surreal to like realize like these individuals are dealing with limb loss, but their spirit, like you talk about, and that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
It's like it's like supernatural, super, omnipotent, the omnipresence of healing in them that takes them to that whole another level, to watch that and be a part of it and say, I had 2 hip replacements. This guy, one of the doctors like had a flesh eating bacteria. He had like 0%, 7% body fat. He was beast you would see is amazing. I think I sent you the video of that one, the podcast of that guy, Dr. David Hausman.
Yeah.
His story is so compelling, but he, you see this guy and he's, rehabilitating his life but I have such admiration for the individuals that have to overcome those physical disabilities for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, so when, you have parts of your life in which I think you have to. I think if you're going to walk as a Christian, the Christian walk, there's always going to be something that creates the need for dependence on God.
Yeah.
And so in any of those situations where you're asking me about these remarkable people I met, I will tell you that in every one of my interviews that I did, they would all come back to their faith. And, how I think that area that needed God, right? Because that maybe you're missing this, it still creates that dependence and, on your faith and carrying you through. I think it all works together. But I did notice that too. And even the Granite Mountain Hotshots, so tragic. I mean, even some of these families that you look at and you're like, wow, they're crying, but they're still smiling.
Yeah. They're joyful tears. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you got working? Okay, we know that you and I are going to be at the Air Power Foundation's Patriot Roundup this week on Thursday, June 30th or July 30th, and I'm really excited about this one. This one's about farmers, and this is honoring Western heritage farmers and ranchers veterans that farmer ranchers that served our country. And when you walk into this event this year, what are you walking into knowing that?
Oh, what am I walking into?
Like knowing that this is what we're honoring. This is the essence of this particular Patriot Roundup. Like last year was honoring Native Americans, right?
Yeah.
You walk into this one and we're doing veterans, farmers and ranchers that serve our country.
Yeah.
What are you walking in with? Like you got a surprise for us?
Well, I am going to paint live at the event.
Yeah.
And then there have been some that I've done prior to the event.
Okay.
So I think those are going to be surprises for several people.
Yeah.
Which will be fun. I think this is going to be really cool. I don't know if I can say, I think I can say Red Steagle is our, the celebrity spokesperson.
Yes.
Which I think Fort Worth is going to be really excited about that.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be exciting. I think whenever we can honor veterans in any way, shape, or form, I think I love doing work where it's recognizing people who sacrifice, who have served our country, and that this is getting to know you're doing something influential and something that matters,
Yeah.
right? So no matter what, walking, that's great. Doing the live painting and getting to to be a part of all of it is awesome. In the honoring farmers and ranchers and in the Western arena is a little bit up my alley, so that's nice, because
Yeah.
because I do a lot of the paintings, country Western type stuff and whatnot. So that's fun too, because it kind of fits,
Fuses.
in there. But yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So it's exciting. Yeah, a couple of days we'll
We'll be watching,
Yeah.
enjoying ourselves. What else? Well, I got one more question. I'll ask you this in just a few seconds. What other projects are you working on? Any other projects you're working on? Like, and are there ways that people, if they wanted to reach out to you, how could they do that?
Yeah. So I always have custom commissions usually going at the same time, that take longer. They're more detailed at the same time that I'm, preparing for shows and doing shows. I still do murals every once in a while too. And if I can pull out an original here and there, that's just mine. I like to.
Yeah.
I tend to be kind of booked up, so I don't get to do that as much anymore. But I have a couple projects I think I can say that, and there's some for the Petroleum Club in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Like on the horizon here, there will be some new pieces there.
Nice.
Yeah. And some financial management firms and stuff that I'm doing stuff for.
Yeah.
But and then if people are interested in any of that with me, they can call me, text me, email me.
Website?
Yeah, artbykvk.com. And and then artbykvk@gmail.com.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure to have you. When I started thinking, I was like, man, how many artists have you had on podcasts? I'm like, none. Yeah. But I think think of artists, and you want to know if you can go into their space and you know what I'm saying, and get to know them. And it's a beautiful conversation we've had today. Last question, and then we will wrap up. When people encounter your work long after both of us are gone, what do you hope they understand about the artist behind the art? About the artist behind. What do they understand about the artist behind the art?
I think that a couple things come to mind. I definitely hope that they understand that all of it was hopefully to make some kind of impact. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's just, I love that piece and it makes me happy. And then sometimes it means something deeper. But hopefully it leads them to a place that is different and better by seeing it, by having it. And as far as me as the artist, I just probably that I genuinely, for me, I put my soul into it, and I know it's what God wants me to do, so probably maybe it's just even that, it's genuine. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's so great. Katie, it's such a pleasure to have you on Next Level Thinkers, a Charting New Horizons of Brilliance, a podcast. I think you charted New Horizons of Brilliance, and it was natural too. It's like, you show, when you sit down with people and you listen, like I've listened today, it's like, man, it just kept going higher. I was like, so it's been a really great conversation. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for Next Level Thinkers, a Charting New Horizons of Brilliance podcast. As I always say, have peace and light in you, and remember that the ocean refuses no river.
Next level, we're reaching for the sky. Next level thinkers, we're aiming high. Pushing through the galaxies, no turning back. We're on a mission, blazing a funky track. Next level, come and take a ride to the future, where brilliance and power collide. Get on up now.